Hello, good evening, everybody. It is a Monday night, August 25th. I'm Jesse Dominguez, a Ward 4 candidate. This is my campaign manager, Giovanni.
Hello.
Let's get into the news here. So, first, we wanted to start with the City Council agenda. I know, it looks ugly. It looks really ugly. Luckily, the FXBG Advance put it together nice and cleanly for us. So we'll go through, hit some important parts, and talk about many other news this evening. So, in their work session, it's going to begin at 5:30. That's a private one. They're going to talk about Cox Cable franchise renewal, introductions of a new street outreach coordinator. That seems pretty interesting. And political signs. Interesting, they're going to talk about political signs right before the campaign, once people are already putting out political signs. But, okay. And then the regular session is going to be at 7:30 p.m. in council chambers. So, they will present a proclamation to Tanya Lacey. I just brought her up, retiring from 16 years of clerk of the council and 33 years from employment in the city. Thank you for your service, Tanya.
33 years.
33 years in the city, 16 as clerk of council.
Not even council people or council members.
Yeah.
Stay that long.
Yeah. There for a long, long time. So there's 10 items consisting in the agenda, which are the assignment of $250,000 from the fund balance to support the city's 300th anniversary celebrations. Cool. Resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a grant agreement with the State Department of Environmental Quality for the wastewater treatment plant expansion and upgrade. So, something that I've heard about the wastewater treatment plant is we were going to do it in a deal with another county, and then we took too long, so they pulled out, and now they're making their own water treatment facility. And the water treatment facility that they're building brand new costs less than us expanding and upgrading our current water treatment plant. So,
a new one.
Yeah, so people are kind of mad about that. Approval of recommendations to add Janice and Loris Davies and Thomas Williams to the city's Wall of Honor.
Oh.
Cool.
When is the 300th anniversary?
Alexa, when is the 300th anniversary of Fredericksburg, Virginia?
From Fredericksburg.com. Fredericksburg marks 200th anniversary of the visit by French nobleman La
Alexa, stop. I know, it's like 2028 or something.
She went to the history.
Yeah. Yeah, 2028.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, coming up. Approval from minutes of Architectural Review Board, Economic Development Authority, Board of Social Services, Public Transit Advisory Board, and Recreation Community Meetings. Ward 2, John Gerlach will discuss neighborhood conservation districts. Council will approve minutes from its December, January, February, and March work sessions, and from the July 8th regular meeting. Oh, they're just now approving them? I wonder why. Board and commission appointments. Council will consider 3 applicants to fill 3 vacancies on the Memorials Advisory Commission. City Manager agenda. Consideration of recommendation to extend through December 9th, 2025, the appeal of the Planning Commission's decision regarding the rezoning application for the Gateway Data Center project, which we saw a little bit about that earlier. The rezoning request was not consistent with the comprehensive plan. The applicant appealed the decision on July 18th and on August 1st requested a continuance to allow time for the applicant to revise its proffer statement and generalized development plan to address concerns raised by the planning commissions to this project. So he's come back saying, hey, I still want it here. I've changed some things. 2 things that I heard really shut this down was, one, and I think is more of the real reason, that the power lines would have to go across Humerser Elementary School.
Oh, for that data center.
Oh,
Interesting.
it would cut through that land there, and it was in people's backyards, and the people that live in that area are informed enough to be able to complain to the government and tell them, no, we don't want it. Unlike the other data center that was approved. Initiate amendments to the Chesapeake Bay Overlay District Ordinance to reflect new legislation and state guidance. We saw a little bit about that in our preview. Initiate amendments to the United Development Ordinance to reflect legislative updates aimed at streamlining local land use review and permitting processes with the goal of increasing housing supply throughout the Commonwealth. So, they want to update everything to allow for more housing to be built. According to staff memo, major effect of legislative change is that the City Council and Planning Commission will no longer participate in the review of subdivisions involving 10 or more lots, identified in the existing code as minor or major subdivisions. Subdivisions involving fewer than 10 lots and boundary changes, identified in the existing code, as well as site plans are already administrative processes locally. So anything will no longer participate in 10 or more lots. So they're only participating in lots that are smaller, or they didn't, and now they're still not past 10.
10 or more.
And originally they talked about involving fewer than 10 lots.
No, subdivisions involving fewer than 10 lots and boundary changes.
As well as site
plans
were already
administrative. So in other words, it had to go through administrative processes. So
City Council
and Planning Commission, because I guess the 10 lots can end up changing boundaries slightly, 10 or less, I think.
So City Council does still have to look at lots 10 or below, but they're not going to look at 10 or above.
I wonder why.
Yeah. For streamlining, I guess, whatever this unified development ordinance is.
It's possible that anything 10 or more probably has to be in a different kind of, like, you can't just say, hey, I want 10 or more lots. 10 or more lots implies maybe a different kind, like maybe that, like a big store or something, which is kind of, it's probably already within a different department, so they're already looking at it. But if you're just trying to get 10 lots, I don't know, thinking out loud, trying to see what.
And we're gonna go to this meeting where they talk about all this stuff, so we will learn exactly what
they mean by that,
what they're talking about it. So that's everything from City Council. Now we'll look at a different kind of news, but still similar. City appoints assistant city manager for utilities and capital projects. So the city manager just had his update there. And now they've hired an assistant, which they've been looking for quite some time. And this is just a little blurb about his life. I'll move the camera so you can see his face. Know his name, Todd Flippin.
As its new assistant city manager for utilities and capital projects, Todd brings more than 2 decades of experience in local government and public infrastructure management within the Commonwealth of Virginia, most recently serving as Director of Public Works and City Engineer for the City of Colonial Heights, Virginia. In his new role, Todd will lead and support strategic initiatives related to water, wastewater, stormwater, along with oversight of the city's utilities division, which is being separated from the Department of Public Works.
Ah, interesting. His technical background, combined with executive-level leadership experience, will play a crucial role in advancing Fredericksburg's priorities of infrastructure resilience, service delivery, and sustainable growth.
So it's interesting because we're about to do a lot with the wastewater and stuff in the data centers.
And he knows a lot about water.
And utilities is usually involving electricity as well.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
So it makes sense. These projects, totaling more than $250 million this decade, are being accomplished while maintaining one of the lowest real estate taxes in Virginia's 38 independent cities.
So he's also really good with capital. While in Colonial Heights, he managed multi-million-dollar capital projects and worked closely with regional and state partners. licensed professional engineer in the Commonwealth of Virginia, holds multiple certifications of the Department of Transportation and Department of Environmental Quality of Virginia, graduate of UVA, program focused on leadership excellence and public service, earned a bachelor's in biological engineering from North Carolina State University and a master of public administration from JMU. Nice.
I'm excited at the opportunity to be a part of the great team here in Fredericksburg. This
And-
vibrant, growing city has a strong commitment and thoughtful planning and infrastructure investment, and I look forward to contributing to the city's future.
I mean, it's also a really good position because he'll be the first assistant
Yeah, that's
city
right.
manager.
The first one.
So,
So cool. I'm excited for Todd Flippin.
hey, TNT.
TNT.
Right, Tim and Todd?
Tim and Todd, yeah. Tim Baruti, Todd Flippin. So, Fredericksburg continues project for new LED streetlights in Central Park. Fredericksburg has made more energy efficient progress in the city, transitioning LED light bulbs to the city's Central Park area. This follows the transition project that occurred in Mayfield neighborhood last fall. Dominion Energy completed the LED light conversion in Central Park in August. They replaced 82 high-intensity discharge bulbs for the equivalent watt LEDs. LED bulbs have longer lifespans than HPs, requiring them to be replaced less often, and they also have a more efficient at converting energy into light, causing a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and operating costs. By switching to LEDs, our carbon dioxide emissions will reduce by 32.5 metric tons. This project cost $11,982.54 in total, creating a payback period of 21 months. After the payback period is complete, the net savings will be $6,760 per year. So in almost 2 years, we will start getting our electricity back, and then
We'll be basically
getting
paying back ourselves.
Yeah, paying back ourselves. $6,000
Yeah.
per year.
I mean, and then some.
The Mayfield and Central Park will reduce carbon emissions by 70.2 metric tons and will reduce annual spending by $9,040 after the payback period is complete, the 21 months. City Council approved an additional $70,000 in the current fiscal year, 2026, to continue to transition streetlights to LEDs, further reducing our carbon emissions. Staff is currently identifying the next section of lights to upgrade among major travel corridors throughout the city, with goals to complete transition of streetlights to LEDs by 2028. This work advances the city's aggressive stated goal of being carbon-free for municipal operations by 2035, which I think I've told you that before, didn't I? 2035. Residents are encouraged to send questions and feedback to the Department of Public Works, and you can go there to ask your questions. I mean, this is fantastic. It's always good to upgrade LEDs. Surprised it's honestly taken this long, but I guess you need the money for it. It is $11,000 and then, $70,000.
The only reason this could ever be controversial to some people is because people think that LEDs, it's the ones that create blue light oftentimes.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently those are the blue light is what oftentimes can be harmful to people's eyes. It's what's
Mhm.
harmful when you go to school and you're like, these lights are so bright, it hurts my eyes. Usually it's warm lights that most people have enjoyed for many years.
Yeah,
And,
the sun.
Yeah, and that's what people argue between blue light and warm lights. Warm lights are probably better for office space because it doesn't harm the eyes.
Yeah.
It's a little easier. Also, it's more moody technically because it's yellow. But everyone likes the white light. It looks cleaner. Also, I
Mhm.
mean, emissions, of course. So, I mean, people will argue it's better for me, maybe not the environment, and I think that's, I guess that's the debate that some people will come to. But ultimately, if it's helping save the city money, and it does help our emissions,
Yeah, it does.
I think ultimately we'll have to see how that outweighs in time, and if the math is right, then the 2 years, I can see that being like a good thing. Especially we'll have a restock of all these lights eventually. I mean, who knows? Maybe they could even start restocking the Walmart and Wegmans and.
Yeah, they can certainly continue to expand this out to every part of the city, and I mean the complete transition of streetlights by 2028. So in 10 years, every single light should be transitioned
LEDs?
over to LEDs. And then in, another 6 years, everything should be carbon free for municipal operations.
I wonder what's like the next step after the streetlights. Like if it's 2035, from after 2028.
Yeah.
All streetlights. If that's the goal, what's next? I'm kind of curious what that entails.
Well, I am certainly pushing for, I don't know who else is, but somebody did bring this up to me, that there's no reason that the government buildings can't have solar panels on them.
That's true.
And our buses could be solar, or at least electric. We have electric school buses. We started getting some of those. Our regular transit should be, electric and solar powered as well. So there's a lot of different things. This is crazy brained,
Jesse.
extremist Jesse here for a second, so take it with a grain of salt. But the end of the canal path, right when you turn onto Caroline Street / Fall Hill Avenue before you get to Old Mill, when you're coming down from the path where the Hardys used to be.
Okay.
That little park that's right there before you cross the street
Mm-hmm.
is where the canal stops, and it's not allowed to flow any farther.
Right. That's where you have to cross the street.
Yeah, that's where you have to cross the street, and then you go down, and then you see that old abandoned big wall with the hole there, and it's all fenced off. Why couldn't we put a little hydroelectric dam right there?
I would like to see that. Maybe more natural waterfalls that could probably be more hydroelectric inside, or something like that. Something that's even kind of nicer, gives you a nice little water running sound as well.
Yeah, and I think that with something as little as that, you're not powering the entire city with that, but you can at least power just Old Mill Park. Just have that little hydro dam from the canal path power just Old Mill Park, and then that takes off an entire large piece of land off of your grid, because it's just being powered by this little thing that doesn't need that much. The park doesn't need that much electricity anyway.
And also having more running water does help kind of clean it up a
Yeah,
little
it
bit
does.
more naturally.
The big pipe that runs through the canal is there for aeration, because they've stopped it, and the water doesn't flow, so there's not air getting in there. So
Keeps it
fish
oxygenated.
need air to live. So yeah, it keeps it oxygenated, and it'll also make the water not as nasty looking too.
I mean, like I said, running water just helps with all that.
Yeah.
Oftentimes just running across the rocks and all that stuff is very, very natural and organic.
Yeah, it
for the
filters
waters.
it. Yeah. So
Extremist Jesse.
Extremist Jesse's over, but that's a crackpot goal of mine.
Chesapeake Bay Regulations Update. August 25th Public Info Meeting. The city is in the process of updating its Chesapeake Bay Preservation Overlay District regulations to enact the state-mandated updates. The Chesapeake Bay Preservation CPOD map would also be updated to reflect site-specific perennial stream delineations performed since 1996. The initiative aims to ensure that the city remains in compliance with state regulations that protects and manages water quality within the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So you're basically invited just to help see how they can help the Chesapeake Bay preserve, or preservation of the Chesapeake Bay. And basically, this almost tells me what the city is also doing to help preserve it from our end, because I guess we get runoff, or maybe we offer runoff to the Chesapeake Bay from the river, because it's gotta lead to something, or vice versa.
And this happened today, August 25th, from 6 to 7:30, here at the Visitor Center. And they're gonna talk about this also at the City Council meeting tomorrow, since it happened today.
Okay, please listen. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So in
We'll
other words,
see
what
they
can
have
we
to say.
do? And I guess this is mainly for people who are really into sustainability,
Yeah.
and historic preservation, or just preservation in
Yeah.
general of natural places.
And this was on, if we go to just the regular Fredericksburg website, this is one of the three, main things that they're promoting here on the front page.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's one of like the main things that they want people to do. So I guess either it's not getting enough attention or it needs more. Or
I'm sure it needs more. I'm sure the people that went are the most informed people about it.
Oh, I'm sure. And then the Planning Commission agenda.
And then the Planning Commission agenda for August 27th. That is Wednesday.
So I see Mrs. B's Learning Academy. There's a use permit for them. Medical Arts Building residential conversion. Oh, I think we were reading about that.
Yeah, we were reading about this.
General public comment. A general public comment period is provided at each regular meeting, so time for the general public to say something. Approval of minutes, adoption of minutes. In other words, they're like, yes, we approve this.
Yeah, so the biggest talk here is going to be what we're about to pull up here in a second, which is the Medical Arts Building residential conversion. And maybe Mrs. B's Learning Academy is here too, but this seems like the bigger widespread conversation here. So, Medical Arts Building Fredericksburg LLC proposes Medical Arts Building FXBG LLC proposes the adaptive reuse of an existing 3-story office building constructed in 1956 at 2103 Fall Hill Avenue, which is this building here. You can see it's right across the street from a Mary Washington Hospital Center.
I think that's one of their document buildings, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so. The high school is here, James Monroe High School. You have the PNC Bank.
And the big parking lot.
And then big parking lots with houses. Down here you have Carl's Ice Cream over this way too. So this building here, 3 stories. They want to turn it into
30 residential apartment units.
30 residential apartment units. 29 of them would be 1 bedroom and 1 2-bedroom unit. 8 dwelling units per acre by right. The applicant is requesting a density of 29.29 units per acre, which requires a special use permit. This project is a key component in the broader revitalization efforts envisioned for this corridor, complementing the proposed adaptive reuse of the former Mary Washington Hospital campus at 2300 Fall Hill Avenue across the street, where we looked at. The townhomes being built across from Elmond, Germania, known as Mary's Landing. So this is the building that they're talking about. This is Mary's Landing here.
It looks like that's parking lots.
Yeah, that's parking lots. These are houses.
That's probably what the houses that they're also thinking of.
And yeah, so they're pretty much asking for permission to turn this building into 30 different rental units. And these are kind of the things that they're saying aligns with the overall city's objectives for this land. They have policy number 3 here in town: housing options for new walkable centers, provide flexibility in housing arrangement, focus on smaller unit types, and explore pre-approved plans for diverse housing options. And objective number 2, revitalization of encouraging ongoing revitalization of existing neighborhoods while strengthening anti-displacement efforts. Policy number 1, promote the development of small-scale housing types in new and existing walkable centers. So you can see that they have all of these bullets saying, hey, look, this is what we want to do, and this aligns with what you're already doing.
This is our objectives, and it goes with whatever you guys were already thinking. So, we'll scratch our back, we'll scratch your back. We're trying to meet in the center, in other words, is what they're saying. We want to do what you guys also want to do. We're not trying to go against any plans you guys have. But
who doesn't like walkable?
And it says the proposed adaptive reuse of the Medical Arts Building directly supports many of the comprehensive plans, the city's comprehensive plans.
Yeah.
Goals of fostering walkable, mixed-use neighborhoods by strategically adding residential density in an area with high concentration of employment and underutilized commercial centers. So in other words, it's like, look, you guys have been wanting more housing here, something that's more walkable, especially because you have a lot of commercial sensors. You guys have a lot of things that people might want to be using.
Yeah, you go down the street and that whole strip is all commercial buildings.
In other words, you're close to the what you say? You're close to Carl's. I mean, there's that. If there's families, they can probably walk to school. There's the pizza. What is it? The Papa John's. There's the Latino market there. The convenience stores. There's the Taco Bell. There's I think it's a Food Line.
Yep, Food Line.
I think there's the City Trends.
KFC's close by.
City Trends, or is it still a City Trends store? No, I don't think so. Not anymore, right?
I don't know.
There's like a
in that little section there. It's been a while.
There's a few pawn shops. There's a dollar store. I think still there. So I think, but they're also saying that it's going to go for the diverse community. In other words, people from different backgrounds. They could be poor. They could be.
I mean, these are all just 1-bedroom apartments.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So in other words, are you really adding diversity? I mean, but they're all. What's also a little odd, and not to poke at anyone, but it's a medical arts building. It said, or medical. What was the original thing? Because it's the people who are asking for this, right? Medical arts building.
This is who's asking
applicants.
to purchase it.
So, but the medical arts. So I'm curious what they're like. You also want to say, why are you trying to build apartments? Like, what's your goal with this? I know you're trying to do something with the city, but medical arts, you kind of ask yourself, who are they? And I think it's just who owns the building. I guess maybe are they trying to switch? I guess niches, like no longer medical arts, now more, because they should be technically. Look, they're with Mary's Lane developer.
Yeah, it literally just says this building here is them.
Arts. So I guess someone just bought the building and now they want to do something with it. I guess now.
Yeah, I wonder if medical arts can just. I guess that's why it's special use, because it's not for apartments, but they're like, hey, we can make it apartments. Special use permit means
like I want to get almost complete control of my property to be able to build something that I want. So even if it's special use, it's especially for me to use it how I want it.
Yeah.
But again, it's gonna go for. But what's odd is like just a 2-bedroom, just one.
1 2-bedroom, yeah, which is strange.
It could be for the owner, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm curious why you wouldn't open it up to more if you wanted to be a diverse.
Yeah.
Area. I mean,
you're not having any families in a 1-bedroom.
Yeah,
apartment.
It makes you think: is it for the more underprivileged in our community? But again, that might.
I mean, if you look at some of the stores that are around, you got that whole shopping center is pretty low income.
Yes.
And it's near the college campus too, so it's probably gonna rent a ton of college kids with 1-bedroom apartments.
They would have to live off campus, and they would probably have to do something with UMW. I mean, of course, I'm thinking ahead of what they need to do, but I can see concerns of people living close to like the school as well.
Yeah, I think it is maybe not the best to have all these 1-bedroom apartments right next to the school.
But who knows? This is just they might
the proposal.
Say, yeah. So they could say, "Oh, you're right. Let's open it up to more people." There might be other ideas that could come.
You're more likely to get healthier people if you open it up to 2-bedroom, because then you can have a mom, dad, and a kid, or an older couple and the husband and the family that's taking care of them. I mean, the in-laws that need taken care of. You can do those kind of things, and it's going to attract that atmosphere around it.
We'll battle the housing cost that a lot of other apartments already have, depending on the area, because you'd have to see what those houses might do.
So here, look, this is something I didn't say earlier to you, but I was thinking it. Traffic and parking congestion.
That's true.
From a traffic perspective, the proposed residential use anticipated to generate less traffic than the prior medical use office. A traffic analysis provided by the applicant based on the standard ITE trip generation rates confirms a net decrease in vehicle trips. The previous 21,000 square foot medical office is estimated to have generated approximately 731 average daily trips. In contrast, the proposed 30-unit apartment building is projected to generate only 163 average daily trips, which is a lot less, a reduction of 77% during peak hours. AM peak for trips decreasing approximately 74 to 10 vehicles per hour. Current with the project's limits of a VDOT project pipeline study. The study focuses on mobility, pedestrian safety, blah, 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 blah. As for parking on site, the UDO under the form-based code section allows for existing parking lots of character structures to retain their position on the site, but should be brought into conformance with 72-53.1.e configuration as much as practical. The rehabilitation or reuse of historic building or are exempted from on-site parking requirements. As a review metric, however, with CM District, 30 multifamily units would otherwise require 30 parking spaces of on-site or on-street adjacent parking to the property.
What's interesting, I'm always going to critique a little bit. It said it up top a little bit. I just have like an issue with they say the proposed 30-unit apartment building is projected to generate only 163 average daily trips. How can they already project if they don't know what kind of people are going to live there? Especially if it says 30 multifamily units. In other words, multifamily units, I understand that means it can house more than one family, but one-bedroom apartments don't really house one family oftentimes.
No, multifamily just means you don't have... Single family is like your home. You're the one family that's there. In that building specifically. Yeah, so multifamily just means in that building there's more than one family.
Yeah, but again, I'm trying to go based off the fact that I know they're not being very specific to saying that we're gonna have mainly families here.
And family's a loose term.
Yeah, in this case when they say multifamily, but in this case you can't really allude to that. I mean, not just because it's 30 multifamily, it would require 30 parking spaces, probably. But there's many houses or many apartment complexes. I used to live in one where we had only one parking space, but we ended up parking in visitor parking space once we had more than one car.
Yeah.
We park on the long side, the street line and stuff like that. You could still congest.
Yeah.
Regardless of how many parking spaces you have. So, I think it's I don't think it's that correct to write projected, because I don't know how you can project who's going to live there just yet.
Well, I think that number probably comes from if you assume that each of these apartments owns one car, everybody is going to drive to work, so that's 30 cars leaving in the morning, and that's 30 cars coming back at night. That's 60. You have to go out to grocery shop occasionally. That's, another 30 times that's another time that each of those 30 cars is leaving to go somewhere. You drop kids off at school, which I doubt anyone's going to have a kid in a bedroom, but,
Again, if we are assuming that we're also going to be doing this to low-income people, that's also going to be tough, because if it's low income, you can't just assume they just have one job. They can have two jobs, especially if it's two people.
Well, that might be, averaged in that too.
If it's two people that are living together, what if they get, what if one's having to call a taxi while the other one already left with the car? Because it is only one car per house. So if it's two people living, working maybe 2 different jobs, 3 different jobs in between both of them, one person's probably going in and out, driving more often, late night trips, I forgot to do this during I don't know. At least just from my personal experience in a low-income apartment building, we had way more than one trip per day. That didn't really feel like it was an average daily life, especially because it was a low-income community. I mean, of course, there's a lot of factors, and I wasn't there for their projection, but I'm just saying, for something that hasn't been done and a thing that hasn't been done in this area, this was a medical area at some point. This isn't your average neighborhood, and it's also around a school, which might derail an average daily trip. So like I said, I don't know. I just thought it was I don't know. I raised my eyebrow at projection.
I mean, I'm still a little confused on just playing devil's advocate of why 163 seems too low for you, especially when.
Well, they're saying that it went because
it's at 731 right now
from the medical office building.
And when they make it apartments, it'll go down to 163.
I don't know. I just feel like one has business hours, one is a 24-hour living area from a low-income family, and my area had a lot of cars. Again, people own more than one car, even though we had limited parking spaces in a apartment complex. And mine was an apartment complex. I know this is going to be technically smaller. I just find it, I don't know, what I'm also going off is it's hard to project something that you haven't built also in a place that's not averagely for housing.
But there are houses here.
No,
There's houses all over the place.
because this is supposedly in the old Mary Washington medical area. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's more than one medical
But
building.
as soon as you go on that next block, it's all houses for the rest until you get to Dixon Street. Like, it's nothing but houses from that moment until you get out of the city going down that street.
Right. No, my argument only mainly came that I was like, they proposed a projection, but I was like, it's interesting that, because you're not just cutting it in half. It's not just going to about 200 to 300. It's going.
Yeah, it's 77%.
You're cutting
reduction.
it almost down, maybe a little bit more than 50 to 60%, 60 to 70% almost. You could almost call it. I don't know.
I mean, I think 731 trips to a medical center every day seems like a big amount.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me, but I think
So
that
like I said,
163
I don't know.
makes more sense for 30, 30 cars. 'Cause like I said, it's at least 60 a day. One car leaves
Right.
to go to work, and then they come back.
I'm also not trying to say that it's too low.
And then you
or
still have
too
a whole
high.
100.
I'm just saying, I'm
there
curious
too.
how they projected already that many trips, unless they just did loose statistics, like just very.
That's all you
simple.
can do, I'm sure. Is
Right. So it's just that's what I'm saying. It's interesting to put some statistics that's really hard to gauge, especially when you're just proposing something. And I don't think they made a huge study on this.
there's 27 off-street spaces, and 33 parking spaces counted towards the proposed use. So there's going to be even more than 33 spots available. Nuisance impacts, light, noise, etc., is not expected to generate adverse nuisance impacts. Project is to be a significant economic development positive. These are all the negatives here. Undue density. The density is concentrated within an existing structure on a corridor planned for adaptive reuse. So each of these things, each of the bad things that could possibly be there, they're just saying, no, it's actually a good thing. There's nothing bad here. This project consists primarily of one-bedroom units which are not expected to generate a significant number of school-aged children. Yeah, that's what we said. You can't have a kid in a one-bedroom apartment.
I was just thinking it's hard to have
Realistically.
children in a one-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
Or the parent. I mean, I don't know. You want to give the kid his own room to some extent.
So these are things that each time something is proposed, they have to add. These questions happen every single time. Destruction, impact of conservation of historic districts. This is not within a historic district.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a problem that they saw and then they're like, hey, no, actually it's okay. These are
Conformity with federal.
the same questions that each person has to go through. In conclusion, the proposed adaptive reuse of the medical arts building aligns with the city's goals for historic preservation, compatible infill development, and housing diversity as outlined in the comprehensive plan and the specific version of Area 6. The request for increased density is justified as it directly facilitates the preservation of the designated character structure, an outcome encouraged explicitly by the Creative Makers District regulations for granting density modifications. This project, along with other planned redevelopment in the immediate city, represents a significant step in transitioning this corridor into a vibrant, walkable, mixed-use district envisioned by the city. The project is compatible with surrounding land uses and is not anticipated to create adverse impacts in the community if appropriate conditions are attached to the SUP.
Special use permit.
Yep, special use permit.
Therefore, staff recommends that the planning forward a recommendation approval to the city council for the requested. So in other words, they don't have bad intentions. We understand the concerns. What do you guys think? I think that's what the last line kind of did.
Yeah, and it's saying, hey, you should vote probably yes on it. So, interesting. I mean, I always think that mixed use and walkable is a good idea. But it's only going to work if the bus system is better. And the bus system is garbage.
Well,
think about how few trips there would be maybe only 60 average daily trips if the buses actually ran properly.
Well, that's what I was telling you, like, what if the other person wants to, like, what if it's a couple, one person needs to take the car for the day, and the other person has to call in a taxi. So in other words, what isn't necessarily trips on their own, someone else is having to make a trip to pick them up. But like you said, what if I had a bus? It would decrease the needs for any cars to really leave. And for me, that's actually what I think. I don't know. I have a concern really with small cities kind of needing to bring in more revenue by having to create more apartments.
Yeah.
And I think that
it just causes congestion.
Has been doing that. I mean,
certainly.
We can look at at Route 3 right by the mall. We can look at what downtown's starting to look like, especially with the issues that through just downtown with people speeding,
people getting hit.
Yeah, and I mean, even just congestion in unnecessary areas. I mean, sometimes when I leave my neighborhood in the very mornings, if I'm running late, I like to rely on the fact that I know I live 7 minutes from home.
Yeah.
But the congestion makes 7 minutes into 15.
Yeah.
Just waiting. And you'd wish you could just kind of leave and follow a specific route. And back roads don't even exist anymore because everyone knows them now because they've had to take them. So I believe stuff like this can only be done, but if and only we also know what are we going to do to direct traffic, to direct safety measures. And if that is what they're trying to propose here, one thing that I see is that we build something and then we slightly move the road, and then we build something else and then it slightly moves again. And I'm like, I think at some point we need to say, hey, instead of just adding and moving stuff, we need to have, well, I think that's what it's for, the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so comprehensive. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've read bits and pieces of the comprehensive plan. It's a lot. And pretty much each section is the same. It says our problems are you can't walk anywhere. There's too many cars. There's no businesses here. And this is what we're going to do to fix it. We're going to make sidewalks. We're going to do mixed use. We're going to, it said the same exact thing for each different area. But I think the comprehensive plan.
I think the issue is oftentimes when they make those sidewalks or they make this new trail for people to walk on, eventually it gets removed because something else got built and then they have to build a different sidewalk. So now you have like an old sidewalk that hasn't been used in a while. Like you said, it's just like, what if we can just finally build something nice in that area? Because now it looks like something that was meant to be used for something, but they scrapped it because then they had to change their minds. I think there's probably a lot of that. There's a lot of changing our minds on issues, especially when inserting new buildings like this. I feel like you add something, but again, I immediately don't see the goal of it other than I want to build apartments, which is why I don't see it as, I guess, necessarily useful.
I mean, certainly the city sees it as useful because it's more tax money, it's more people living in the city, and one of the biggest things here in Fredericksburg right now is there's no affordable housing. So this is part of that. This is affordable housing because it's 1 bedroom and you can walk around in the city from here, which aligns with the direction that city council wants to go in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand that. It's just, but you can't just bring in people for more tax revenue, especially if they're low income. I mean, I'm not trying to say that's like a bad thing. It's just I think you bring in these people, but
and they might not be low income. These 1 bedroom apartments might cost $2,000 a month.
But I think,
I mean.
But if that's the case, then it didn't really reach the goal of lowering the housing process.
But city council does not care about low income people. They only care about getting tax revenue.
Well, I think that's the case.
That's why they continue to not listen to established neighborhoods here that are a little bit lower income when they say, no, we don't want you to build townhomes on this strip of land, and then they approve it anyway and it gets built.
So what you're telling me is we need city councilmen that listen to these neighborhoods.
Yes, we do. Moving on.
I think I know one.
This is a little fun one about restaurants, and then we have 2 opinion pieces. Maybe we won't read one, but we're at least gonna throw something a little bit more fun in here. So this is the Biz Beat Roundup, downtown restaurant opening this weekend. So what used to be Vivify Burger, which was shown here in this picture, now has opened up a new restaurant, Lovacor. Let's see what they have to say.
They make reservations.
Wow, and this is it. This is all. There's no pictures of a menu.
Oh.
There's just, wow, fancy.
Is that a cocktail?
Offers a highly seasonal revolving menu offering some of the best farm and purveyors in the mid-Atlantic. Menus are subject to change daily.
Interesting.
Reservations are highly recommended due to the size of our dining room. Walk-ins are welcome and encouraged to enjoy the rooftop bar Folklore while they wait. Folklore is a walk-in only and seated first come first served. Interesting.
So it almost seems like, cause remember Vivify Burger used to have like that back seating area? I wonder what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, very interesting. They're going to have a rotating menu, different every year. Every day.
Grace period will be honored for reservations. So,
Yeah.
so you better make it within 15
Yeah, you
minutes.
better make it.
They're setting themselves high standards.
Interesting.
But I want to see what they have to.
It's a melting pot of influences, including Japanese, Korean, and Italian. And then he's gonna have the rooftop bar as Folklore, which I know what Folklore is, but I don't understand what that means in this specific scenario here. And it features cocktails and smaller dishes. So I mean, we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to try a new place.
Unless they're trying to say they got a lure with a good rooftop bar, so in other words, you better come.
Yeah, lore with the good rooftop bar.
A community meeting is scheduled September 4th to discuss Richmond-based RecB's plans to develop the 280,000 square foot former hospital at 2300 Fall Hill Avenue in Fredericksburg into a building with up to 242 apartments.
So this is right across the street from the one we were just reading about, the 30 apartments. So I wonder.
The PNC Bank, is that what they're trying to remove? Maybe.
No, the former hospital, which is that building here.
Oh, okay.
So this is going to be 30 apartments. This is going to be 274 apartments
42,
or whatever.
240.
242 apartments. So you want to talk about, cars coming in and out on that two-way road right there, right next to a school.
So I think that's expanding my theory. That's probably being like, hey, look what they're gonna do. Look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put in less traffic than they're gonna do. So say yes to me. Because right in front of, can you imagine all those kids walking to school and just have to?
I know, it would be amazing.
I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know. As a teacher, it's like, you're like, oh no.
No, kids should be able to walk to school.
I mean, no, they definitely should. But I'm like, I guess I just imagine everyone getting off school buses when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I can only imagine seeing that army of kids probably.
Yeah. At least, 200 kids coming out of there. They're all mostly 2-bedroom apartments.
Shoot.
Well,
that's high school, I guess. Right?
Apartments and some commercial spaces, including possibly a coffee shop and a daycare center.
Well, that seems a lot nicer.
That's awesome. $50 million for the project. The meeting is scheduled at 6 p.m. at Dorothy Hart Community Center at 408 Canal Street, September 4th. That's not in my ward, but something I'm very interested in following closer in on. Not enough to go to the meeting, but enough to want to continue to read more about this. Other home news, there were 104 homes sold in the past week here in Fredericksburg, including a $3.74 million sale on Lake Anna, which is in Fredericksburg, and $167 million sale near UMW, which is Fredericksburg.
What do you think that sale could have been?
The 176 million?
The 1.67 million. Do you think that's a house? And if so, I wonder which one.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be in College Heights.
Right. Actually, my coworker likes looking at Zillow a lot, and she found a few homes nearby. So that's interesting. Okay. What is it? What do you think about that? 104 homes sold.
I mean, it's good, obviously. I wonder what the mortgage is on this house. How much are people paying? Where these houses are being purchased?
That's in 1 week.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, hey, good for those realtors. They're working their butts off.
Oh yeah. I'm glad it's not rented. That's probably my biggest thing.
Yes.
At least they were sold homes and people own these homes, and it's not 104 homes were rented in the past week. So I do enjoy that.
I think you'll like this next one.
Jack Brown's Tattoo Revival and the shop's Tattoos for Community event are focus of this week's Buzz Beat Clips video. Yeah, I got a tattoo just the other day. See some other Fredericksburg stuff. Jerry Ullman's a longtime owner of Ullman's Jewelry. He's the guest on the edition of the Buzz Beat Banter podcast. Some stuff about Spotsylvania. The University of Mary Washington recently announced new members for the Foundation Board of Trustees.
Scarlet Energy is proposing a battery energy storage system on about 15 acres on the western side of the existing Dominion Energy and electrical substation.
In Chancellor.
A special use permit and comprehensive plan compliance review are required from Spotsylvania. The 240 will manage wholesale power costs by dispatch storage. Oh, I wonder what that is. A battery energy storage system.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's good though.
Well, it's going to be all this green energy is then, once it turned into electricity, it's stored in these batteries. So if there's a power outage or it's a cloudy day or whatever, it can draw from these batteries. When you buy a Tesla, you can also buy a battery that goes into your garage as well, and then any solar panels you have.
So you can charge at home.
Yeah.
Look, furniture store is closing after Labor Day, but it has
I've
a liquidation center.
Yeah.
We should go. We might need some furniture.
Okay. I have their mail. They sent me mail over there.
Oh, sweet.
Honey Pig Korean Barbecue recently opened up on 3623 Plank Road in Spotsylvania.
Was there one nearby here like that, or am I thinking of a different store?
Korean Barbecue?
No, that's a Korean bar. My bad. I'm thinking of a different one.
Okay.
There's a good. Oh, that's good actually.
And so a couple more stores have opened up. So there you go. There's your Biz Buzz of the week.
Your Biz Beat Roundup.
Your Biz Beat Roundup.
Can't say that 5 times fast.
Biz Beat Roundup, Biz Beat Roundup, Biz Beat Roundup, Biz Beat Roundup, Biz Beat Roundup.
Nice.
Okay, so advancing human rights in the greater Fredericksburg region. Now, if we can remember correctly, members of the Shiloh Baptist Church are creating a regional human rights commission in order to make advancements again due to recent history. They talk about how the goal is to train everybody on how to live together without these infractions.
But their goal is not to penalize people.
No penalizing people. The goal is not to penalize people. They're not forming the human rights group so that they can say, you're doing it wrong. They're doing it to say, hey, this is how you should be living together.
Or we should do it better.
But they're just not penalizing people. You're not wrong. This is just how we can do it better.
What are their main human rights, or what are the things? What are the reasons why they're starting these? Can we find it in there? So it's just like what are their main concerns as of recently? Well, what's the reason for them to be like, I've kind of I've had it.
It's saying our undocumented neighbors live in fear of deportation. Universities, schools, and businesses are scrubbing DEI from their websites and policies as if they are forbidden words. And the federal government has claimed control of policing in District of Columbia with a plan to deploy the National Guard to the city streets. It often feels as progress has been halted as we are taking steps backward.
Yeah, we're the beneficiaries of a long struggle to make America a more equal and just society. So I think that's kind of their intentions here. They think that we should be more equal and we should be more of a just society. That's kind of the main core of why they feel what they feel when they look out into society. Right
Yeah.
now.
And so they're forming a commission.
Yeah.
Down here it talks about Delegate Josh Cole. When I heard the discussion of a regional commission in Virginia is a dual rule state, I knew that legislation would have to be introduced. I think with how tight local budgets are, the opportunity to allow localities within the same planning district to come together to create joint commissions will benefit greatly, not just in the greater Fredericksburg area, but also in the Commonwealth as a whole.
Of course, not all the local governments in our region may want to work together to create a human rights commission at the present time. Perhaps 2 or 3 localities will cooperate to form a commission now, and the remaining localities will continue to have the option to join later down the road. So I guess he said instead of having like local governments, like having Spotsylvania and Fredericksburg work together, because they might not always see eye to eye as governments, he said maybe the localities, maybe specific wards, or maybe even just sections of a ward can start, and as they advance and do things on their own, maybe other parts of their community will start joining in.
So Shiloh Baptist Church is envisioning that all of Planning District 16, which is Fredericksburg, Caroline, King George, Spotsylvania, and Stafford, will cooperate in making this for the entire region. So they are expecting these bigger areas to come together.
So each level could appoint a commission members, and funding would be a portion. So I guess
each one person from each would go into the commission, and then each locality would then give money to educate people.
I guess when he said regions, he probably meant like bigger than just the counties.
Yeah.
Well, either way, he says if we can, it's better to probably start in fragments than as wholes, because to get everybody as a whole would be pretty hard.
Yeah, not everyone's going to be okay with it, but in the beginning, a couple of people is good enough.
Yeah.
And then here's an opinion piece on data centers. So this is pretty much what I've heard in multiple different forms when researching data centers. And then I've read what environmental groups specifically say the negatives are. So you have these people who are advocating for data centers that are going to say all the good things and none of the bad things. And then you have your environmental groups that are going to say majority of the bad things, but then say, yes, there are some good things too, but they're more concerned with the environment, the environmental impact than anything else. Somebody told me today that right after City Council had approved the data center that is going up in Ward 4, that the Rappahannock River was voted the 6th most in danger river. I don't remember if it was in the country or on the East Coast or Virginia.
Either way,
but
I wouldn't want to hear that.
Yeah, sixth most endangered of anything is a pretty high number. So this is from the president of the Fredericksburg Regional Alliance. He mentioned that they've seen Northern Virginia turn into Data Center Alley, and that he knows that we need some of this tremendous amount of money here in Fredericksburg, that it invests. I think the one that they have planned already can get upward of $60 million in tax revenue every year, which is a lot of money. I think somewhere I read it's like a third or half of a budget that we usually use for certain things or something like that. Don't quote me on that. They talk about, look, everybody has 17 to 21 connected devices and we're using all this power, which you need a data center for. Let me be clear about what it means for communities. Unlike residential developments that require extensive public service, data centers generate significant tax revenue while placing minimal demands on public infrastructure. This translates directly into tangible benefits for our residents. We're talking about increasing teacher salaries, increasing first responders comprehensive packages. So yeah, they're looking, hey, look at the money we're going to be able to invest in the school system more.
This will get people like reduce pressure on real estate taxes, upgrade emergency service equipment. But again, it's like I can see that he's trying to say, look, these are all the good things we could do. And I guess people are always asking of like, I don't know, I've heard some people, while I don't think this is an immediate like concern to most people, because if the money's really well, why would you care about that? People are also thinking about the aesthetic of what happens, right? Like you'll see power lines, you'll hear the humming of some of these data centers. Trees.
The data center is placed in a specific distance away with specific trees and things around it so that you can't hear it, and it can only make a certain amount of noise at a certain amount of time. And there's all of these different regulations that were laid out in the document which was the agreement for putting the data center in.
And this may not be this one, but I think Virginia has a lot of green space, like a lot of different forests and a lot of different things, and that's why they're saying it's becoming data center valley, because since we have a lot of this place that we can store it, it's out of sight, it's out of mind, but people don't know about the deforestation that happens usually. Some people are saying it displaces like canals and parts that the river likes to connect from and get a lot of the runoff clean water from, and it's just like, and who knows about the dirt that it could displace and all the environmental issues that could happen.
The amount of water it has to put into its system, the power bill increase on residents that, we're being charged for the data center's electricity use when it should be the data center that's being charged. And we're already, from what I've heard, getting increased prices for our electricity for the data centers.
Have you heard anything through your time now talking to some people? I don't know, has data centers been like a thing that at least maybe people in your ward have been?
Yeah, it's one of the main things. I mean, you saw on the list of questions that are going to be asked at the forum in September that data centers is, it was the first bullet. It's the biggest topic. Not only is it in my ward, in Ward 4, but it's also the bane of every single environmentalist organizations here in Fredericksburg.
In the case that, like, let's say any of like your city council, like I guess co-workers in this case, right, going forward, assuming you make it, what if they're like, hey, like my people are saying this, like, do you know if any of the other wards have issues with this?
Yeah, certainly. That's why the other one that was gonna go over the power lines were gonna go over the elementary school they said no to it because the residents that are informed know what the problems are with data centers, and they said no. But the people that the data center is being built around now, these are the least informed people in the entire city. Therefore, they had no one there to fight to get rid of the data center. And I'm not saying whether or not a data center is good or bad, but I do have a problem with the more well-off and informed communities being able to say no easily, and then the less informed, less well-off communities not being informed enough to be and educated enough to be able to have had any voice at all in planning this data center.
I think a lot of things when it comes, not necessarily to politics, but I think just like as a life thing, there's just a lot of, like, it can create a lot of good things that come with it, but the grass may not always be greener to somebody else.
No.
Like for me, it may be nice, like, yes, all this tax money, but like you said, there could have been a data center, power lines over a school.
Yeah.
An elementary school.
School, yeah.
So it's just like, look at all the nice things, but I don't know, some people really wouldn't have liked their kids going to a school with power lines over there. But
but one data center is coming no matter what, and we will be getting that money from it. The process now is to make sure that it doesn't impact the communities around it, and that's all you can do now at this moment.
And a lot of these pros are potential pros, right? These things haven't yet happened. These things could honestly happen, and I mean, it could be a really good thing. I'm not trying to say it's a what if, as in like it's gonna go bad. It really, like, I like this one, for example. Like, if I was a Germana student, I went to Germana. There would truly excite me. It's AWS's commitment to workforce development, their information infrastructure apprenticeship program at Germana Community College last November prepared local residents for well-paying careers in this growing industry. The program offers comprehensive training in everything from electrical system and HVAC to fiber optics and mechanical systems. These aren't just jobs, they're career pathways into the digital economy. And a lot of these things, like electrical, you can be an electrician, or HVAC, that's not necessarily like, a college career. In this case, that's a little bit more of a blue-collar job. You're working in HVAC systems and conditioning and all that stuff, and especially fiber optic cables. A lot of these are the ones that run underground and help with a lot of these power lines, and oftentimes these are what power our phones and our houses and things. So, like I said, these are real benefits, but they come at a cost oftentimes, and I think these are the pros and cons. And opportunity choices that
Yeah.
they teach us in civics and economics
Yeah.
in school. So, I mean, this is where school honestly does meet our real
Yeah.
lives.
Everything is going to have a pro and a con. The only thing we can do is minimize the amount of cons
Yes.
that we end up having and maximize the amount of pros. Should we have more data centers in Fredericksburg?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows? But
I really
one
think
is going to do, a lot already, and just adding more is probably not going to be the best for our small little environment here, especially with how hurt the environment is already.
Oh yeah.
If we had a perfect environment, then it probably wouldn't be as big of an issue, but we don't, and with little want to improve the environment, especially from the federal government, the impacts of data centers are only going to be greater. And what a nice note to leave everything on tonight.
Data centers.
We should have ended with maybe the biz beat on a happier note, but at least you're informed now. You know our opinions. Form your own opinions. We got a lot of our news today from the Fredericksburg Advance, as well as the Free Press. As well as the Free Press, and then news from Fredericksburg City itself. So you should sign up for the alerts for what's important to you, and make sure you vote. Vote and go to as many of the meetings that matter to you as possible, because that's the only way that anything good is going to get done in this world.
Yeah, don't be afraid to question things.
Yep.
Things have, like, as we see, pros and cons. That's why it's good to stay informed and ask good questions. Or don't be afraid to ask bad ones.
Yeah, it's okay to ask bad questions, because you just don't know.
Yeah, and you can find yourself with extremist Jesse sometimes with good ideas too.
Thank you, Giovanni, for joining me.
Yeah, of course, I love it.
We'll be here next time for the rest of the week's news, but this is all for us right now. Bye.